everyone, it is Mike from AutoGuide, and today we are gonna talk Nissan and Infiniti. It's no secret that the brand's been struggling a bit lately, from stale products to financial woes to changes in upper management and failed mergers. Well, today they came out and said that they have a new strategy that's going to involve a lot of new products released over the next, let's say, 3 to 4 years. So let's take a look at what is ahead for Nissan and Infiniti. The brand has said there will be 10 new models for US and Canadian customers between financial year 2025 and financial year 2027. So basically that means from now until pretty much 3 years from now. As a lot of companies have been saying lately, basically Nissan is not going all in on EVs. They said to meet rising demand for diverse powertrains, which we can all translate to what we know, and that EVs aren't as popular as people were hoping they would be by now. The new models and new technology that Nissan has will include EVs, but also plug-in hybrids and what they describe as advanced internal combustion engines. So let's take a look at what Nissan's gonna do first. So probably the biggest news has to do with the brand's Rogue, compact, midsize, whatever you want to call it, SUV. You know, the very popular class. So as we already know, next year or this year, next year model year, this year, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be a Rogue plug-in hybrid. They announced that already. Well, it's only going to last for 1 year because next year we will finally get the all-new 4th generation Rogue, and it will have a plug-in hybrid, but it's going to use Nissan's new e-Power technology and not the Mitsubishi-derived system that's going to be in the Rogue this year. But the SUV won't just be a plug-in hybrid, there will be internal combustion engines available as well. So what exactly is e-Power? Well, this is the 3rd generation of the system, even if we didn't get all the iterations of the 1st and 2nd generation in North America. And it's set up to give 15% enhancement in economy, especially at highway speeds. It's not set up like most hybrids on the market. It's going to be more like the Ram 1500 Ramcharger and to a degree the previous Chevrolet Volt, where it's going to have a small internal combustion engine that's used more to create energy for the battery that then powers the wheels. It'll be electric motors powering the wheels from the battery and the internal combustion, but there's no direct connection, it sounds like, between the engine and the wheels. Now, Nissan claims this will make it feel more like an electric vehicle to drive, and they're not wrong about that, and by not having the actual engine hooked up mechanically to the wheels, they can isolate the vibrations and harshness of the engine more from the driver, so it should be very smooth. It'll probably just be a mild little engine noise in the background. The battery will be lithium ion, and as I said, it'll be used to power the electric motor, as Nissan said, but I would guess there might be 2 motors if it's gonna be all-wheel drive, or maybe it'll just be a single motor that splits power between front and rear. I can't imagine the plug-in hybrid Rogue will not have all-wheel drive, at least as an option. And although details are pretty scarce at this time, the brand did tell us that the generator motor will be a new 1.5 liter. Now, they didn't say 3-cylinder or 4-cylinder or turbo or not, but that's what will be in there to help generate power for the battery and the electric motor. Nissan said this vehicle will come out in financial year 26, so that should be sometime in the next 12 to 24 months. So moving on to other big selling Nissan products, we have the Sentra. It's been on sale since 2019, and although it still does offer great value and it's pretty spacious, it's pretty much been passed by all of its main competitors. Well, Nissan said later this year an all-new Sentra will arrive, so we don't have to wait long to see it, and I'm really hoping maybe a performance version of the vehicle returns, like that 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, or if I'm really dreaming, how about the 2-liter turbo, and you can go right after things like the Elantra N. I doubt that's going to happen, but I am very curious to see what a new Sentra is going to be, because although that segment has been abandoned by some manufacturers, the ones that sell well, the Civics, the Corollas, they still have very solid products, so hopefully Nissan delivers a great new Sentra. Also this year, the Pathfinder's getting a refresh, and if I was a betting man, I would say the 2-liter turbo that is in the QX60 and the Murano is gonna find its way into the Pathfinder as well, but none of that's been confirmed. Moving on to EVs, there's some big news here, and that's the next Leaf is coming out, a 3rd generation, and it's gonna sort of change segments and be a crossover, which, you know what, I'm usually so against cars becoming crossovers, but with the Leaf it makes total sense. It's not exactly a performance vehicle, and it offered great space, but it kind of had that stigma of being a small car, transform it to a small SUV, and all of a sudden you're probably going to get a lot more market interest. The new Leaf will be built on the CMF platform that is currently shared with the Ariya, and Nissan said it'll have improvements in aerodynamics and the EV architecture will lead to a better vehicle. It's going to have available 19-inch wheels, an available panoramic moonroof, and in North America we're going to get the NACS charge port so it can use all of the Tesla supercharged network. Also stuffed in there is that there will be a small Micra SUV EV, which is interesting because you already have the Ariya that kind of fights in the big segment of somewhere between compact and midsize. The Leaf will obviously be the slightly smaller compact size, and then the Micra might be subcompact. There's not many vehicles down there, and they didn't say if we're getting it in North America, but this is a very America, Canada centered news release, so I don't think they'd throw it in there for nothing, so I'm curious to see what this leads to. Finally, for Nissan, in financial year 27, there will be an all-new Nissan EV that will be built at their Canton, Mississippi plant in the United States. And they say this all-new model will be an adventure-focused SUV. What that means exactly could be interpreted a million ways. I doubt it's going to be a 4Runner or Passport all-electric competitor, but it may sort of go somewhere in between, like maybe the Subaru Solterra, where it's got off-road capability while still being an EV SUV that you can live with every day. Again, I'm just speculating. We have no idea. What I do know is in this press release, there was no mention of the Versa or Altima, so I think we can kind of see the writing maybe on the wall for those vehicles, or sadly the GTR. And there's no mention about the trucks, but I'm sure they will continue in that sort of a separate area of the brand. So let's move on to Infiniti, and the brand stated in this press release that going forward, Infiniti will be distinguished better from its Nissan siblings. Now, I would argue this has kind of already started, as the QX60 and the Pathfinder did feel a little more separate than they used to. And speaking of the QX60, it too will be refreshed this year, just like its Pathfinder sibling, and I'm curious to see what changes come, as last year the QX60 already got the new engine. And while on this topic, Infiniti will launch an all-new QX65 crossover coupe. Yes, Infiniti's going back to crossover SUV coupes like the QX50 had the QX55 counterpart. I would imagine this is basically gonna be Infiniti's sibling to the Murano. I am certain the styling will be more coupe-like, and I mean, the Murano, Pathfinder, QX60 are all sharing a platform anyway, but I figure that's where this is going, and I'll be very curious to see how different it feels, as the Murano itself went upmarket and more premium. So how will they make this feel even more luxurious compared to that model? Other news this year is a new sport package is going to arrive for the full-size QX80 SUV, which is not a sporty vehicle in any sense, and I doubt this is going to make it any sportier to drive, but it might add some sportier looks, I guess, to make it look a little more aggressive. And stepping outside of the bounds of this press release, the brand also mentioned for the 28 financial year, there will be an all-new luxury Infiniti EV SUV inspired by the Vision QXE concept. This could be the brand's new Halo EV, but it's quite a ways off, and I'm sure we'll see more concepts, or at least teasers, before that time. That new Nissan in financial year 27 and the new Infiniti in financial year 28 are going to have batteries built in the USA as part of a $661 million investment. So more than just new models, Nissan Infiniti is also trying to get their finances in order, and the brand states they are simplifying the operations for retail programs so they can attack cost structures. So the question is, will this all work? Well, I think that's 100% dependent on how the actual products are. Nissan and Infiniti still have a big enough name and dealer network that if they deliver competitive products, they should be able to start to rebound. I just hope that they can get things in order to get through this transition and the products end up being good, but we won't know until later this year. And of course, as they roll out, we at AutoGuide will be first to get in line to test them out and let you know how they are.